Now, this is Paul and Stephen from Bowen Painter, and we've been getting a lot of questions from friends and family and about the legal implications of what happened in the terrible event on Sapelo Island last weekend with the gangway that collapsed and left 7 people dead and several others injured. And we've been talking about it, and it seems like there are a lot of potential claims and a lot of complicated claims. So that seems like
and defenses.
And defenses. So, I mean, the first people you'd look at, it seems, would be the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, who ran the ferry and, as we understand, maintained the gangway and the dock. But that brings in some immunity claims. Talk about that.
Yeah, so under the Georgia Tort Claims Act, if a state actor is negligent, you typically have a remedy. It's limited, though, and it'll kind of depend on who was responsible for maintenance, if there was a maintenance issue, or who was responsible for inspection if it was a failure to properly inspect the dock. So you need to look at what the particular roles were and who's responsible for each one of those roles. And it's going to depend kind of as this investigation unfolds on what exactly failed. And some of the early reports it sounds like somebody reported that there was a weakness, a little bit of give, so maybe it's the way it was fastened to the dock. Also a chance that this product itself may have an issue, and it may not be just the state that was responsible for maintaining. Maybe it was in fine condition in terms of what the state had control over, but did the manufacturer do wrong? And so we've seen other gangways that look similar collapse, and so you may even have a product's liability.
That's right. And we've had a couple hurricanes, from I read, since the last inspection was done. Was it the responsibility of the DNR to do the inspections after the hurricane? Or did they contract that out to a private company who didn't do what they were supposed to do? And of course, we don't know which of these things, if any of them, led to the collapse, but these are the issues that have been raised in the press. And then with the state issues too, the people who were there for the Gullah Geechee celebration, and a thing called the Recreational Property Act in Georgia, which if you're paying the state to be part of some recreation on state facility, then the state has some additional immunity. Feels like there's an exception to that with this one.
Yeah, I think you're talking about really is, I think, the exception. The general rule is if you make a property available to public for recreational use, then we've decided that we don't want to penalize people for things when people get hurt if you've done that. So if you brought a waterfront property and let people come play at the beach, the law gives you immunity if somebody gets hurt there, basically saying, hey, they've assumed the risk of any injury that when they come on to that. The Recreational Property Act has an exception for if you charge a fee for access to that. And at that point, if you do, then typically the RPA doesn't apply. But I think some of the questions are, were they charging? How do they generally charge for these things, and what that will apply? Because it's applied before in awful cases like this with docks collapsing and people on them.
Sure.
People get hurt, but the law doesn't always provide a remedy.
That's right. And finally, they're boarding a vessel. What does maritime jurisdiction come in? You're over navigable water. You're entering a vessel. Are there unique claims for maritime jurisdiction that are different than what you would see for normal negligence if this had just happened on the land?
Right.
And, that's an interesting question of law, of where does it become maritime jurisdiction. There's a lot of case law on that, obviously, but that could make a difference in what's going on. So I guess right now, the long and short of it is we don't know. We don't know the facts yet. We're just sort of looking at the issues that could arise. But from what you see, just about every direction that we see, this is going to be complex legal issue. A lot of questions. We hope as the people who are injured and the families of those who lost ones, that they seek representation, make sure they find lawyers who are capable of handling these complex cases. Not everybody can. That's it. And so as they update the investigation, we'll try to update our evaluation on things and our analysis. And we thank you for listening.
Yeah, our hearts go out to y'all.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.